Yeah, thank you so much, Chris. Great job to Aaron and Kathy so far. I feel a little weird going after Aaron 'cause she had 10 tips and I only have five. So I think we can be confident that this will only be half as
You
good.
know what?
But
I statistically, and I might have just made up this statistic, people can't handle more than 15 tips. So I think actually we're at the scientifically perfect number of tips for a virtual conference. So no worries at all. I think that's perfect.
I think they call that in the industry the sweet spot. I think that's what we're hitting right now.
It,
Sweet
it
spot
is.
right
Yes. Statistically, that is the term for it.
Awesome. So thank you everybody for coming. My name is Mike Smith. I am the manager of instructional design and technology on the commercial learning and development team at BeOne Medicines. Today, I'm going to be talking to you all about how to reinforce sales workshops, and I'll provide five proven strategies that helped us in the past and helped us at our most recent workshop in the fall. So, what is B1? You might have known our former name, which was Beijing. We have recently transitioned to B1 Medicines and redomiciled our whole business. So we're doing a lot of new, fun, exciting things. B1 is a mid-sized oncology company. It is a global company, but specifically our learners that we are responsible for are U.S. account managers. They are all over the United States. They are 100% remote and they are very mobile device heavy. They are all issued laptops, tablets, and phones upon arrival, and they typically rely on those mobile devices because they've got such busy schedules. They do a lot of traveling, a lot of meeting with HCPs and doctors and different folks. So we need to meet these folks where they are, which is why a lot of our content is mobile driven. What I'm going to be talking about today, in addition to my five strategies, is a specific conference, a workshop that we had, sorry, called Mission Possible. This workshop was for a new team of sales account managers for a new drug that B1 was introducing. This workshop was at a national sales meeting and it was broken into two parts. So Mission Possible played off a theme of like Secret Agent, like Mission Impossible, which was timely because that new movie just came out. Like James Bond and my favorite show of all time, Archer, which is kind of the front scene that you saw there. So we had Operation Greenlight, which was covering objection handling, and Operation Mindshift, which was driving meaningful shifts in beliefs and behaviors among healthcare providers. So kind of setting the stage there for you. Uh, that was our workshop, and then our strategy behind that revolved heavily around seven taps. And the reason for that, we wanted to meet our learners in a new way because they are remote and mobile. We wanted to do a lot of pulses that were to their cell phones. So we did exclusively text messaging for all of our micro learnings. We did six pulses from seven taps for this strategy, starting out with a quiz. You'll see on the top left the mission possible knowledge check. Knowledge check. This was a scored quiz, and then we had a mission briefing, which was a video that we created plus a call to action. You'll see that soon, followed by three photos, and then finished up with a final video and another quiz to match the very first one. All that being said, these are our five strategies that you're probably hoping to hear about today. So, what are we doing? We're going to set clear expectations for workshops. We're going to gamify our content. We're going to vary the instructional modalities, how we deliver this content and the types of content. We're going to practice spaced retrieval. And then finally, what we call WIIFM, or what's in it for me. We have adult learners here. They have to have some incentive. What is important to them? Starting off, number one, setting clear expectations. I'm going to preface this with a short story. In a previous life of mine, I was a travel agent. So I sold travel. I was in sales for quite a while. And one of the first things that I was taught that I carry with me today, along with setting clear expectations, is telling people exactly what is going to happen to them. So if I were to sell a trip to somebody and it was a beautiful beach vacation, I said, the sand is bright white and the water is crystal clear blue, the food is phenomenal, and there are droves and droves of mosquitoes. You're going to get bit every single day. You're going to get bit by mosquitoes. You're going to have a great time, but it's going to happen. Those people that I sold the trip to will go on their trip. They'll get bit every day. They'll know it's coming. It's going to happen. They'll come back and say, "Hey, we had a wonderful time. Thanks for telling us about the mosquitoes. It was awesome. We really enjoyed ourselves." Now, if I sold that same trip to somebody, but I did not tell them that one little tidbit, not setting the expectations, that's the only thing they would focus on. They would come back and say, "Hey, that trip was awful. It's the worst we ever had. We got bit by mosquitoes every single day. Totally different experiences, but they went to the same place. So setting clear expectations is unbelievably important, especially for our adult learners who they want to know what's happening. For us in this workshop, you can see the 7 taps that we sent out. There were 3 tiles here, starting with the mission briefing. In the middle, you'll see the secret agent boss character that we created. This was with Synthesia as an avatar. So she played sort of the boss for the agent, much in like the James Bond videos. And what she did was setting the scene to let them know what to expect for their pre-work, for their workshop, for the pushes that we would send. Everything that was going to happen to them was told via this character. In the third and final tile, we had a call to action. So that mission control button you see on the right, that took the agents to their agent dossier, which spelled out again in words what was going to happen, what the expectations were of them, and had all their materials that they needed. Strategy number 2, gamification. Gamification is not new in learning. It's been around a very long time. When I was in grad school, I had an opportunity. I was taught by a great professor. Some of you might know him, Dr. Carl Kopp. He taught me all about points and badges and leaderboards and how gamification can increase engagement. It can boost motivation. It can encourage persistence and promote social learning. So what we did for this was we took all of our account managers and put them into teams of 2 for the workshop. These teams of 2 were then given team names, like you see, Delta Squad, Golden Falcon, Omega Pulse. Super cool names that we just completely made up because they sounded cool. Then we went into an AI image creator, made some new images for each of these team names, and everybody kind of had their identity. And it wasn't just the intrinsic motivation anymore for the learner. They also had a responsibility for their teammate. They were part of a team now, so they had to do good for each other. On the left side, you'll see those photo pulses, the pushes that we sent out via text message. On 7 taps was the leaderboards. So our team would do the workshops in the morning, and then they would get sent these in the evening. So it was real time updates of how they were scoring. We put the top 5 teams up there out of 12, just to kind of keep everyone on track of where they wanted to be. We got to a point where some of these teams created cheers and dances for their team. They were getting pretty intense. It was getting wild. The national sales manager wants to take this all the way through the end of the year. These teams became a really big deal, and that gamification helped us with the engagement tremendously. My third strategy today is varying our instructional modalities, or what we call blended learning. This we separated into 2 different buckets, our formal learning and informal. The formal learning, we talked about instructor-led training. So all of that was done via virtual instructor-led training, or VILT, because of the nature of our learners being all over the country. Then we had the in-person workshops, which was the National Sales Workshop, the Mission Possible. That was done with pseudo healthcare providers doing role playing and giving instruction in person. Our informal learning was done via knowledge checks sent out via 7 taps, our pre-work, which consisted of guided notes and videos, and our asynchronous e-learning, which was modules that were done at the leisure of the learner. And then you'll see kind of the apex or the intersection here with the emphasis on learning through technology. It works so much better for us. We met the learners where they were. That's the best way for them to go. If they had 5 minutes between calls or between visits, they could do their knowledge check, they could do a video, they could do all these things. It was right where they needed to be. Our number 4 tip, practicing spaced retrieval. You'll see a timeline here of our event for this is the entire life cycle so far of these account managers. They came on in fall of 2024 and they did their clinical onboarding, which was months-long virtual instructor-led training and asynchronous e-learning around our drugs and our competitors' drugs and around disease state, and all that kind of stuff was done. We wanted to keep that going. We can't just do that or just do a 1-day 8-hour workshop, because then we fall into what's called the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. And the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve tells us that 50% of all new information is lost with a learner within 1 day. And 90% of all information is lost with a learner within 1 week. So how do we combat that? We practice spaced retrieval. And with this method, we took the same content and spread it out over a period of time to aid in retention. You'll see the thick blue line here shows when we did the actual Mission Impossible workshop. This started on February 25th with the initial knowledge check, which was scored, part of the gamification, and that was around the medication package inserts. We followed that up with the video, which was the secret agent boss, which led them to their agent dossier containing all of their pre-work. After that was the in-person sales workshop at the national sales meeting. These were scored as well. So the Operation Greenlight and Mindshift were done, and they were scored on their interactions with these pseudo HCPs. A lot of role playing and getting a lot of insights to each other and learning how to talk in a way that they could use it down the road. We finished it all up on March 31st with the second knowledge check, which was the same exact knowledge check that was done initially. This gave us our delta, and we were able to see time after time how our users scored and how we progressed from there. Finally, our strategy number 5, WIIFM, or what's in it for me. Showing this is something that's going to show how this is going to help the learner in their day-to-day. They're going to build confidence, they're going to build proficiency with fluency of messaging, using marketing materials, they're going to be practicing HTTP conversations and getting pearls from their peers so they can hear how their peers speak to others. They can take those for themselves and they can share what their strategies are with others. This is all in the Knowles adult learning principles of why is this important? How can I use this for my job? If we came to these learners and said, we're going to do a one-day workshop on Microsoft Word, and we know you don't use Microsoft Word at all, but we think it's important, those users will be completely checked out. It has no help in their day-to-day job. There's nothing in it for them. So why would they do it? Why would they put in effort? This is showing them it's extremely important to their day-to-day lives at work. And finally, see on the bottom right there, who doesn't love a prize? We gave prizes to the top 3 teams, super well received. It was very competitive and everybody really enjoyed it. We got a ton of feedback that it was a really nice thing to do. So all that being said, our workshop ended, and I think I owe it to you guys to tell you what results we got, what statistics we had, and what lessons did we learn. Some of these numbers might jump out at you, so let me explain them. In our pre-workshop, we had a 100% engagement rate. That pre-test coincided with the kickoff of the whole learning experience competition, which helped drive that full participation. We got average scores of 80% on that PI knowledge check, which we thought phenomenal. That's a great place to start. They're doing really well. They learned all this in their clinical onboarding, and now this is where they're at. Then you see our post workshop. I thought about fudging these numbers and telling you guys everything was phenomenal and we got 110% engagement. That's not the real life. The real life is we only got 2/3 participation in the post workshop knowledge check. Why was that? By the time the post test was sent, workshop 2 had concluded and the competition had ended. The FDA approved our new indication, and as a result, the field team shifted their attention to launch priorities, which we think contributed to the lower engagement. In my opinion, there was nothing in it for them. What's in it for me no longer mattered. We had ended the contest. There was no more points to be had. There was no more value, nothing else to learn. This was just a post everything knowledge check. It was kind of a check the box, I got to do it. And only 2/3 of our folks did it. However, our knowledge check scores increased. So while we didn't get the engagement we wanted, we know it worked. We combated the forgetting curve. We got an increase in scores. And so that tells us next time, do things the way we did them, but include everything in the learning experience. Nothing after the fact. Make everything count. Make all the points matter. It's not like whose line is it anyway, where the points don't matter. Make everything matter so that we can get that workshop engagement up and increase those knowledge check scores even more. Thank you to everybody. I appreciate you taking the time to hear me and listen to what I have to talk about. This is my LinkedIn profile, and this is my contact information. And Chris, I think we can give it back to you.
Awesome. Hey, well, you know what? That was fantastic, Michael. Can we get a huge round of emojis for that? And look at that. My data and analytics was correct. 15 things is the scientifically proven completely fabricated and made up perfect number of things to go with. So I actually think you nailed it. You nailed it on that. And I also loved your just honesty and vulnerability of like, yeah, I could tell you we got 110%, but we didn't. But you didn't just say, and I think this is such an important lesson that we can all take from this is it's not that we have to get perfection. It's we have to be able to understand why and think about, well, what was the reason? And, would we do things differently or what can we take from that? And I think your point about the WIIFM is the WIIFM was gone. So sometimes we end up chasing these things that are like, are we chasing it because it adds value? Are we just chasing it because we want to see a number look different on a chart type of a thing? And I think that was a really wise way that you approached that. So thank you for sharing that. One of the questions that came ahead of time, we've started pulling some questions ahead of time, is when it comes to sales leadership. And I ran sales learning at GE for a long time. And so I'm familiar with some of these pain points. But I'm really curious for you, how do you navigate those conversations of like moving towards the micro learning, the kind of bite-sized snackable learning, when you often get leaders who are like, just do it this way, or I believe the Franken course or the brain dump is actually what people need. And I'm sure you've probably never had to deal with that, but I'm sure some people have. And what would be your advice on how to overcome challenges like that?
Yeah, great point, Chris. Some people certainly have. I can be completely honest and candid that our leadership is super forward thinking and they're kind of trending that way themselves.
Okay.
However, I've been in situations in the past that's not the case.
Okay.
So what my strategy has been is how do you consume content at home? Speaking to them like people, like speaking to our leaders, how do you
Love
consume
that.
content at home? Do you watch TikTok? Do you watch YouTube? Do you get short form
Yeah.
information all the time? Are you scrolling a lot? Are you sitting down and watch a 2 hour documentary 3 times a day? You're not. You might do that.
Recorded webinars. I know me. I just sit and I just binge watch recorded webinars. Those are my
You're an
fave.
enigma, Chris. I mean, that's just, but the thing is, that's how we consume content now. That's the way the world is trending. And if we're going to get like I said before, get the learners where they are, let's do the way what they're looking for. We can condense and truncate all that information into a meaningful little bit, but we can do that a few different times. Practice that space retrieval. We're gonna have the retention much higher than if we said, here's a 30-page PDF. Take it easy. It
Okay.
just doesn't
Yeah.
work. So
Well, and
result.
what I love about that, and sometimes it is just such a, I mean, you got to thread the needle depending on who you're talking to each time, but there is something really powerful about going, so how do you learn? What kind of stuff do you like? And
Make them
then
say
they
it.
start listing things off. You're like, that's really interesting because none of those things are the things that you're saying we should do. Why is that? Oh, you just, yeah.
It works.
That's
It
always
works
fun.
if you
It
listen
does.
to
It
them.
does. Cause then they at least have to own like, oh, yeah, I guess I don't like that either. I don't know why we're having this conversation right now.
Totally.